Welcome to my next special guest. Feature of the show. I'm going to introduce him now, and I'm going to get you straight on. Please welcome the one and only Bill Bennett. Are you well, Bill?
Danny, I'm very well, and thank you for this pleasure.
Yes, you are welcome. Great to have you on board. And you're living in Wales at the moment. What's the weather like there at the moment?
The weather, we had a little bit of drizzle in the air. It's still dull, but they say by about 1 o'clock it's going to be back to being roasting hot.
Oh, great. So fingers crossed for you.
My shorts are on in anticipation.
Great stuff. Now, you're a well-known name on the circuit. What was life like before the singing? Where did it begin? Did you have a job as a butcher, I was told? Is that correct?
Yeah, well, funny enough, when I left the RAF, I married a young lady who lived in Deal in Kent, near Dover, and her father was a master butcher who'd followed his father, and they had a shop in a little village called Walmer, near Deal, 6 miles from Dover. So I didn't know what I was going to do when I left the RAF, and they said, well, come down and try the business. And I didn't know the front end of a sheep to the back end of a cow. And I eventually settled in, and for 22 years I was behind the counter, and we served the Queen Mother and some showbiz people, because they, apart from the Queen Mum, she visited the castle every so often, but the showbiz people all bought little cottages in Deal, which was only 70 miles from London. So quite a few of them used to come up to my shop.
Oh, wow.
And that's really what, but the singing was not involved at all then, because I was a top-class runner. And my main day, after finishing behind the shop counter, was to go out for an 8 or a 10-mile run, because I founded the Deal Striders Running Club, and that all started, which gave me a very powerful set of lungs for my singing. But the singing didn't happen really until about 14 years ago, when we'd long left Deal and moved to Neath in South Wales.
That is a wonderful story, Bill, and not many people can say they've served royalty.
No, we actually used to serve before. The Queen Mum eventually became Lord Warden of the Cinque-Ports, which was an honorary job for her, and once or twice a year she came down to stay in our lovely castle, which was only half a mile away from my butcher shop. So it was natural they used us. But prior to her, the previous Lord Warden of the Cinque-Ports was the Australian Prime Minister, Sir Robert Menzies.
Yeah.
So my name was in the file in Clarence House when I got the call after the Prime Minister finished his stint and went back. He was becoming a little bit older then. I got this phone call from Clarence House saying, would I continue to serve the Queen Mum, who's going to be the new Lord Warden of the Cinque-Ports? So, of course, I didn't say no.
Fascinating. So, moving on to your singing, you sing a lot of songs which have a lot of meaning in them, like the old songs.
Yeah.
Tell us what you like about the old songs and why people still like them all these years on.
Yeah, well, I think the one thing Frank Sinatra said, that songs are poetry to music. And I think pretty well every song that Sinatra sang had meaning. And so did Matt Monro and Perry Como and Dean Martin. A lot of the songs they sang had a story, a love story or whatever, and that's why I like the emotional songs with the right words.
And so you've name-checked some of the late greats. Who are your old-time greats? I know we touched on Tony Bennett before the interview.
Yeah, well, Tony Bennett, I sing his San Francisco, I suppose, like every crooner does. But my two main overall favorites have always been Dean Martin and Perry Como, with Matt Monro a very close third, because their songs, as we know, will last forever. Yeah. If you remember, a couple of years ago, Lady Gaga recorded a CD with Tony Bennett.
Yes.
Now, Tony Bennett at the time was about 88 years of age, and when they were going to record Lady as a Tramp, Tony Bennett says, what do you think about this one? And she said, what a fantastic new song. He said, new? This song is 80 years old. And Lady Gaga said, it sounds as fresh as it was then. And he said, that's the sign of a good song.
So may it continue that these songs get passed on generation to generation.
I think they will, Danny.
Yes.
And you play some of them too. I mean,
Yeah.
you like emotional songs because you liked my When I
Yes,
Dream, didn't you?
I did. I can connect with that one, yes.
It's a good song.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
And is that a cover version or is that an original one you wrote by yourself, When I Dream?
Oh, no, of course. When I Dream was a big, big hit for Victor Moan,
Oh, wow.
who only died a few months ago. And I don't know whether you're familiar with Victor Moan, because he died well into his 80s. But his most famous song, a worldwide hit, was I Have Often Walked Down the Street Before. That was Victor Moan.
That one rings
So that was a
bell.
big song of his too, When I Dream. It's a lovely song.
And if you could meet, if you could meet anyone, it could be living or passed away. Who would it be and why?
Well, living, Danny's son.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that's you.
Yeah, that's me.
No, I would think I'd like to have met Elvis,
Oh, wow.
because although he died very young, 42,
Yeah.
I think he was beginning to develop into being a crooner. And funny enough, I've just recorded in my third bedroom, which is not a studio like you've possibly got. It's only my third bedroom. I record through Audacity, and I've got no soundproofing, but I've just recorded in the ghetto.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think a crooner has recorded it in any way. It was always an Elvis or Elvis impersonators. But my gosh, it's a dramatic song. And I think I've made a reasonable version of it.
Great stuff. And would you describe yourself as a romantic, maybe?
Probably, yes. Yeah, the back row of the cinema in Liverpool years ago, when I dropped a chalk ice on my lap. Oh, sorry, all those years ago. Yes, I suppose I am, because I love these songs with real meanings.
Oh, bless you. You also have a big following as well. What would you like to say to your fans as well, who come and support you at your shows?
Well, what I'm hoping, having very kind of you advertised me, I've told a few people, and I hope they will listen, just to thank them that there's a young lady in Florida, Karen Williams, who does so much promoting for me, and I never ask her. She's just followed me because I sing the songs that she's always liked. And there are other guys, I've got lots of friends around the Nice area now, even though I was born in Ireland. And in fact, there's an Irish fella, Tony Monaghan, another fella singer. We've just tied up on the old Facebook. And so there are lots of people around, and I'd just like to say hello and thank you very much.
Great stuff. And what advice would you give to someone who wants to start on the circuit, like, the social club circuit and the pub circuit? What's the best advice you would give someone who's starting out?
I should think, learn your words first. There are some singers, perhaps starting out, who will walk on stage a little bit nervous, like perhaps a lot of people are. That's the one thing that never affected me, nerves. And I would say, don't walk on with a bit of paper with your words on it. Learn your song and see how it goes from there.
And just develop and learn and
develop and rehearse.
Yes, great advice there. So in the papers today, they were saying that 1,300 pubs closed last year, 2017. Do you think social and working men's club days are numbered, and can the government do more to save them?
Yeah, I think without a doubt. I'm not really a working men's club singer, with no disrespect, because I'm a crooner, Rat Pack swing singer, and I don't sing in the second half of most of their shows. They want the noisy rock and roll stuff for the dancers, which I love. I lived in Liverpool for 20 years, so I love rock and roll, but it doesn't suit my voice, so I don't sing it. So I'm a little bit more selective where I sing. I'll do restaurants and hotels and golf clubs, and I've done theatre as well with a gang of ours. We've got a sort of a foursome together, and we go around and sing in certain theatres and village halls. Yeah. So really, that's my style.
Yeah. So you do more the established venues, like.
Well, yes. Yeah. I mean, if I get a phone call, I will always say, you know what I do, so I'm only comfortable if you like what I sing. I could cope out of my depth, but because I don't sing the noisy stuff, I always say, please, if you're going to book me, you know what I do. And they say, well, yes, that's why we're booking you, because we know you sing the good songs.
Great stuff. And we've got a few of your songs now we're going to play.
Right.
One of them you've sent me is called Yesterday, which is a Beatles song. I know you mentioned Liverpool. Out of all the Beatles catalogue, why did you choose this one?
I think it's probably the one with, again, a lot of meaning, and it's one I've always wanted to sing. And it suits my sort of semi-relaxed style, I suppose. And I think I got a nice backing track, and it suited me because I did it in one take, actually. So, and that's what I do in my third bedroom. Most of my songs, and particularly on my CD, are all done in one take, which I suppose I'm very, very lucky that I could do that.
Great stuff. And in the song Yesterday, of course, I believe in yesterday. Do you believe in tomorrow? That's a big question.
Very much so. Gosh, without tomorrow, we haven't got today, because we've got nothing to look forward to.
And on that note, Bill, thank you very much for the interview. We're going to play a few of your songs back to back now. Bill Bennett, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
Danny, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.